But let me first talk about a hot development, or rather it was 21:10 Turkey time. In the United States, the following news broke around noon. Charlie Kirk, an American political activist and writer, was speaking at an event, it was a university event, was assassinated at gunpoint. Kirk was taken to the hospital, and the newest information just minutes ago is that Kirk has died. Now we need to look at some of the details of this, of course. Who is he? What is it? How did it happen? In fact, this attack took place in Utah in the United States, and he was very young, 31 years old. See, that's what's actually on the screen. Moment, and when he was speaking to the crowd at the university, right at the moment when he's wearing a white t-shirt and he's already giving a speech. Maybe you don't see the exact spot where he was shot because it's a bit blurry because we blurted it out. But the exact spot is shot in the throat, and after that moment, he is already falling to the ground. At that moment, of course, someone in the audience recorded the conversation, so we are sharing these moments with you thanks to the cell phone on camera. We know that Kirk has only one opinion. He is a supporter of U.S. President Trump, of course. This is one of the important information. Even in the last election, this second term of Trump, Kirk was a key player there. And when I look at what's going on with him again, the events he organizes on university campuses usually draw big crowds. And that's one of those moments. And this image is actually one of those moments. Trump, of course, made a post after the news of the shooting on his own social media, Truth Social, and he said we should pray for Kirk. He said he was a great man from top to bottom, God bless him. One of the people who posted was the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, and he said we are praying for Kirk. But here is the latest news. As I said before, he was treated in the hospital. Kirk died in the hospital. Let's share these moments with you. That was the latest information. It happened in the evening, and here are those who loved him, of course. Was praying, especially President Trump of the United States of America. I want to talk a little bit about the assassination in the United States, where the activist was a conservative commentator and political activist. You know, when you search for Kirk's name. Was shot in front of a crowd at a university event. When I think of the U.S. and assassinations and events, I think of Trump's. Came the bullet that grazed him above the ear in July last year. Being a Trump supporter, being assassinated, being shot, this is not something like dying as a result of battery, because I don't know if we can call it similar actions, but is it too much to call it an intimidation of Trump? Utopian, or someone or an enemy directly targeting him or her? What did you think when you first read it, when you first saw it?
I was very slightly surprised, but I was expecting such an assassination tag in the United States. But Trump's most trusted youth organization, one of the youth leaders was targeted and shot in the throat by a sniper. At least this is the current information. And dying. The Republicans of the United States of America, led by Trump, and the Trump movement. And quite demoralizing, because when we look at the importance Trump gives to this person, even though he is 31 years old, he was a very prominent name, especially among the American conservative youth, with his discourses, his broadcasts, his podcasts, his family life, etc. As a result, this U.S. President Trump has decided to fly American flags at half-mast across the country until Sunday.
One thing about Mr. Meat, you said how sharp a processor he is, which attracted my attention. I am learning this information from you because I think there is a very far distance, a place like a balcony. If my director sends it here immediately, I may ask you to say it more clearly, to show it. Please go ahead.
I mean, after this attack, at first he was wearing glasses, slightly fat. A photo of a person in green was shared as an elderly person, and it was said to be an attack by a member of the Utah Democratic Party.
And this, for example, in a place like Mr. Meat's balcony.
The Americans Are Coming Back event in Utah, and again the person who organized this attack was a member of the Democratic Party. I don't know how this person was found, how this person was immediately taken to the ground, and I don't know how he was found.
Because there was no weapon in the hands of the people who took him into custody. There's no helmet.
There is only a helmet. We don't know if it belongs to him or to one of the police officers. But in the end, as you can see, this person doesn't seem to have any weapon in his hands. This person was immediately declared guilty.
But you say it's not?
In the American press, at least according to the New York Times information from security sources, it was a sniper's fire from a certain distance in a certain number of yards is being given. I don't remember the exact distance, that he was shot from a distance. Of course, it's a symbolic assassination, like I said. Often evangelical And I have to remind you that even though he may appear to be very pro-Jewish, I have to remind you this. He is far-right globally. This Charlie Kirk was in cooperation with all radical right-wing global movements, and he often visited those countries. For example, 4 days ago in Japan, he met with Japanese far-right parties and had these photos taken with them. And at the point we are at now, even though he is now being stoned in the media as being pro-Jewish or pro-Israeli, even though he died, because in a certain segment, he was very happy.
He asked for prayer, he prayed. Now Omer has a very good question. When you were explaining it like this, I actually said it makes a lot of sense. Now, let's put aside the fact that he is of Jewish origin. Could this have anything to do with Qatar? After yesterday's attack, Qatar said we are keeping it confidential. Is this too utopian? Or do you think this is something like that because some actions create a domino effect?
No, this is not related to American domestic politics. Because, for example, even though Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu was condoled or fresh last month anti-Semitism, last week he was being lynched by the Jewish lobbies because he differed with US President Trump on this issue. So there are some ways in which he differs from Trump. For example, on the issue of the right to bear arms, he said that everyone has the right to bear arms, and that people who are killed with guns and American citizens are ultimately protected by the Constitution, that they could be killed for it, that they could be killed for it, that they could suffer casualties for it. As I said, US President Trump has ordered US states to fly their flags at half-staff until Sunday in a summer morning mood to be passed. But it is also necessary to say this. With his anti-Islamic rhetoric and his angering other communities and Christian communities, there is a large section of the same US when he greeted the assassination with joy.
Okay, now as far as what we really want to talk to you about,
the assassination will follow. I'm sorry. This is if there is a Democrat finger here as first leaked.
It's a Republican assassination.
Trump already has an armed militia. But if this is really a Democrat party and the assassins using Trump's media to point the finger at the Democrats, it would be a blow to the Democrats. In the States, paving the way for retaliatory armed attacks. But in the same way, the Democrats may also have armed Republican Trump supporters, such as attacks on their rallies, such as attacks on their speeches, perhaps with bombs, like an attack in America because it's not very difficult to find explosives. These types of armed or bomb attacks seem to go back and forth, probably until the American midterm elections in November. And so it starts. These attacks.
Thank you, Mr.